Welcome to Theme Weavers, your weekly wisdom for weaving yoga themes into your classes to inspire your students. We're your hosts, Heidi
and Farin.
Welcome to episode 12 of Theme Weavers. Today we are going to talk about Aparigraha, the fifth and final Yama mentioned in the Yoga Sutras, which is found in Sutra 2.39. This is actually my most favorite Yama, Farin. Did you know that?
I think I did, but I don't remember why. And I think it's just because it's fun to say. Aparigraha. Ha ha
ha. We'll find out later. Okay. I'm not going to spoil it now. But if you don't know what Aparigraha is, or if you want to learn about how to weave it through your classes, then listen up. In case this is the first episode you're listening to, please check out episode 2 of the Theme Weavers podcast for details and background on the structure of how and why to weave themes through your yoga classes. If you do choose to use today's teaching on Aparigraha, non-grasping or non-clinging, as your theme and use our free inspo sheet to help you, then please find a way to turn our voices into yours. Make this theme authentic to you specifically. And don't forget, the link to be able to download our inspo sheet is in the show notes.
Thanks, Heidi. All right, let's jump in and talk about the fifth Yama called Aparigraha. As Heidi mentioned, Aparigraha translates to non-possessiveness or non-grasping. It invites us to let go of our attachment to material possessions or desires, outcomes, and foster a sense of contentment and inner freedom. In our modern lives, the concept of Aparigraha might seem challenging, especially in a world that encourages accumulation and defines success by material wealth. We're bombarded with messages urging us to acquire more, own more, and constantly upgrade. This culture of consumerism often leads to stress, comparison, and a perpetual sense of lack. These challenges can be alleviated by embracing Aparigraha, but it's not without its hurdles. In a world that glorifies accumulation, letting go can be a struggle. Our attachment to possessions, status, and even relationships can cloud our understanding of true contentment. Distancing ourselves from the constant pursuit of more can be difficult when it's ingrained in our societal norms. However, the rewards of practicing Aparigraha in our modern lives are profound. When you release the grip of possessiveness, you create space for contentment and gratitude. You start to appreciate the simple joys of life, the experiences, the connections, and the moments that truly matter. Imagine a life free from the burden of excess, where you appreciate what you have without constantly craving more. Aparigraha teaches us the art of letting go, allowing us to detach from material desires and find fulfillment within ourselves. As you practice Aparigraha, you'll notice a shift in your perspective. Detachment from the need for more brings a sense of liberation. Embracing this Yama helps you find joy in simplicity and allows you to live in harmony with what you truly need.
Yes, Farin, this is why it is my favorite Yama, because for me, it's so incredibly relatable and tangible. I like things that I can easily figure out and practice. So much of my personal suffering in my life is because I want things that I can't have and frankly aren't even mine to have to begin with. And also because I always really want to hold on to things so deeply that I have in this moment, and I start to suffer over the fear of losing them. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say I'm having the best time ever at a concert, and then halfway through, I start to think like, oh my God, this concert's going to end. What am I going to do if I can't hear this band play again live for another year? That's so sad. And then I'm suffering in that moment where I'm actually there and enjoying the music that's right in front of me and the community that is around me, that I'm so busy thinking about losing something that I'm not even enjoying it when it's right in front of me. And then I suffer.
Yeah, that makes sense. It also brought to mind, I think I mentioned it, is like relationships, as like if you're constantly trying to hold on to a person that maybe is not the best for you or doesn't even want to be with you, and you're like, you have a fear of going through a breakup or a fear of losing them, and it's like you're trying to grasp for something that maybe isn't even yours to have.
100%. I can think of an example with somebody who's a good friend and like really, really good friend for a very, very long time, and loved our friendship, but life circumstances changed for each of us individually. And there was so much grasping and longing for the friendship not to shift the stage of life that it was in, that when we were shifting out of that stage of life, the friendship wasn't shifting with us because there was such this desire to keep it the same. And that was not working for each of our lives and where we were as individuals. And then that led to a lot of resentment and displeasure and anger for not being there in the way that we once were, rather than enjoying the way that we could be. And it wasn't healthy anymore for anybody.
Yeah. Great example. I was thinking like romantic relationships, and then you turned it into friendship relationships, and they're all very valid. Like you can experience that in every relationship. So it's cool.
For sure. And also with stuff, right? Like I think about, like, this is such a stupid example, but iPhone, right? The iPhone, I know you're an Android person, but I'm an Apple person. And like Apple's coming out with like a new iPhone basically every year. And each year is like shinier and flashier and cooler and more technological and amazing than the last one that you already have, which is working totally perfect and has no problems and is like less than a year old and serving you so well. But like, ooh, but there's a new shiny one. Like I want the shiny one. I no longer like what I have because I want the new one. And like that type of pressure to always want what's new when what you have is more than enough. And like you don't even need what you have. All you really need is the ability to make a phone call, right? But we want more and more because it's like shiny little thing in front of our faces.
And other people have it.
Yeah. Oh my God. The one next to me has it. So why can't I have it?
Yeah.
Right. That comparison of wanting what's others and it's not even ours to begin with causes so much pain. So I'm so inspired by this teaching that I even got a new tattoo this year that reminds me of Aparigraha. And it's a conversation starter with everyone when they ask me why I have a monkey on my back next to a cage with a banana in it. Can I tell you about my tattoo?
Yes. Now I remember. I remember the tattoo. I remember when you got it. And yes. Okay. Tell me.
It was like a big thing because I wanted, so in my first yoga teacher training I went to, we read the book, The Yamas and Niyamas by Deborah Adele. Have you ever read it?
No, not that one.
It's like one of my favorite books. And it's because it takes these 10 yamas and niyamas and makes them so relatable to our lives, and it makes connections in ways that I hadn't really ever thought of before and gives really pertinent examples. And then there's like excavation questions to journal to make you think about where you're doing this or not doing this in your life. It's just a really good book. I highly recommend it. It's not that fat. It's an easy read. Good for a yoga book club if you're looking for a new book.
We'll put that in our inspo sheet or in the show notes or something. We'll link to it.
It's such a good book for every yama and niyama. But the Aparigraha chapter, when I read it in my first teacher training, I just had this like moment of awakening. And she tells two different stories in it. And one of them is the one that my tattoo is on that I've always told people I wanted. And they were like, that's really dumb. Why would you put that on your body? And I'm like, because I am very inspired and it changed the way that I see the world. So in this book, she tells the story of in ancient India, there's like hundreds of thousands of free, happy monkeys like wandering around, and they're living this life of freedom and joy and levity and just getting to be the monkeys that they are. But then humans would take cages and they would put bananas inside of the cages, and monkeys really love bananas, right? They really want these bananas. So they'd, in their like lovely, free, happy life, walk up to the cages, stick their arm through the metal bars of the cage, grasp onto the banana, and pull and pull and pull, trying to get this banana out from the inside of the cage. But the way that the cage is shaped and the shape of the banana, there's no way of twisting your arm in the direction of the banana to be able to fit it out the rungs of the cage. And so while this monkey is grasping and holding on to this banana that's not even their banana to begin with, the lovely human that put the banana in the cage comes up behind this free, happy monkey and traps them and takes away their freedom and brings them into a life of suffering. And that's only because they would not release the grasp of the banana that wasn't even theirs to begin with. So they lost their freedom and joy and awesome monkeyness to become trapped and suffer because they wouldn't let go of what's not theirs to begin with. Isn't it so sad?
That is such a sad story.
But it's also a beautiful reminder that everything that we have and need is already within us. And when we're so busy longing and grasping for things that aren't ours, that's when we suffer. We weren't even suffering when we just live with what we have.
There's probably bananas outside of the cage that were perfectly good.
100%. But that banana is not the banana that I want.
Dang.
Right?
Yeah.
She also tells another story in this book that I also found really impactful when I'm thinking about releasing our grasp onto things, and it has to do with changing your life. And she talks about a trapeze artist, and if you're picturing, you know, when you go to the circus or Cirque du Soleil or whatever, and you see like two trapezes, and there's one person on a trapeze swinging beautifully forward and backward, never really progressing anywhere because they're holding onto the bar so tightly, and they really want to go someplace else. They want to go to their partner or the other trapeze that's further away from them. But the only way they're going to get there is by trusting the process of releasing their grasp, their clinging to where they currently are, float through the midair, and know that they will be able to land where they need to go next. But they can never get where they need to go if they're not willing to release the grasp of what's holding them back.
But that's scary, because what if you don't get the next thing? What if you fall to your death?
I mean, thankfully in this situation, usually there's a beautiful safety net underneath them, so they're not going to die. And usually in our lives, we also have safety nets. It's not really about like jumping from one side of the Grand Canyon to the other, like hoping and praying that I make it, right? It's about being methodical and recognizing that it's okay to not get somewhere that you need to go right away, but you're never going to know if you can get there if you refuse to let go and even try and take that first step.
I love that. Love all these stories. So when you're giving a Dharma talk on Aparigraha, you can tell one of these stories or a different story that comes to your mind to help people further connect to that theme.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what are some things that you could say as your through line, your theme that you're going to drop the hammer of throughout the class?
Yeah. So as we go through class, we will have these little reminders pulling people back into the theme throughout the physical practice. You can say, release tension with each exhale, letting go of what no longer serves you. Notice any attachment to certain poses or outcomes and gently let go of expectations.
I love that one because it's so tangible in a class. Like, I want my pose to look like this. I want it. And you're so busy wanting it that you're not even having appreciation for the pose that you're currently in or your way to experience it that you're in at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And then the next one, invite a sense of lightness into your practice, allowing yourself to flow without grasping for perfection. Can you let go of wanting what isn't yours in the practice and stay in your own lane and where you are today? So it's not even maybe about like comparing yourself and like the shiny pose that the person is doing next to you, but just like thinking back of the pose that you used to be able to get into, or the version of the pose, and then comparing yourself to that, and then you're grasping for that. But it's like, that's not in your practice today. That's not where your body is at today. So it's okay. Let go of it.
It's a really good lesson for somebody that's coming off of an injury back into their practice, back into their movement practice, where like you have to be able to let go of what you once had and embrace where you are now. Otherwise, you're just going to suffer both physically, mentally, emotionally, all the things.
Yes, for sure. And then I just have one more. As you hold each pose, release any unnecessary tension in your body and mind, practicing non-attachments.
It's so good. I love it. And we have more stuff for you also if you download our inspo sheet found at themeweaversyoga.com/episode 12. We include some inspirational quotes that remind us of the practice of Aparigraha. We'll be sure to list that book that we mentioned in this episode, some songs that bring the theme to life, as well as mantras and mudras and pranayama and postures and meditation to weave into your classes. I was trying to think, because I know that people like to have us relate a peak pose in these conversations with them. And I was trying to think of one that would really work. And I came up with this one. I actually had this experience yesterday when I was in the studio. I posted on my Instagram page. I really struggle with headstands, handstands too, like anything stands, like other than on my feet, right? Like I struggle with them. And like, it's just not my thing. But this is something a lot of people are able to do as children, and that they haven't either tried since, or they've been afraid to try since then, and that they might be grasping for wanting again, or just afraid to try it as an adult. And I have like one of those headstand or handstand trainers that I love, because I love going upside down. It like, if I'm in a bad mood or tired or just like sluggish, as soon as I go upside down and then I stand back up, I'm like, whoa, I'm ready to go. Like it just shifts my whole perspective. but it's not something that I'm often able to do unless I have that trainer with me.
I want one of those handstand trainer things or headstand trainers. I've always wanted one.
I think they're handstand because your hands are pushing onto it.
Oh,
They're awesome. If you ever get your butt to my house in Massachusetts, like you can use mine if you want. But like they're really fun because even if you do arm and balances and things like that, you can really activate the muscles that you need without the fear of falling. Sort of like if you do it at a wall, but I find that the wall you can get kind of lazy with, right? You can rely on the wall to support you.
Yeah.
But with this, you can't rely on anything to support you because you'll just flop forward or backward. You still have to use just as much effort, but it just changes the way that you do it. And I think it's awesome. It helps me realize what I need to engage and what is not currently awake.
Because like your head is through, right? But you're on your shoulders.
Yeah, the little bars rest on top of your shoulders and your hands press into like the legs of the trainer almost.
Okay.
It's really a pretty cool tool to help you feel like you can experience the benefits of a pose without being fully in it. But anyway, if we were to offer headstand in class, this might be, or a different posture, I guess, but this might be something people once could do, and we could frame it in the light of releasing a need to grasp or hold on to it in this moment, and instead just to be present in whatever comes up for you today in the practice, right? So like yesterday, I was at the studio and I was trying to do a tripod headstand, something that sometimes I can just like easily do. And other days, like yesterday, it was not happening. And I'm like, boom, fall, boom, fall, boom, fall. And it was such a struggle. And then I got it for like a second. And I had happened to be videoing it because I wanted to look at my technique of what was awake and what wasn't. And then I decided to put the whole thing on Instagram of me looking so utterly hopeless and imperfect in it, but that this is really a practice and it's about releasing your need to ever get to that final posture, which is pretty cool. We could also do the opposite, though. I was thinking if you didn't want to do active, let's say you were teaching like a very gentle or a yin-inspired class that's more focused on introspection and letting go of what no longer serves us. Or we could have a class that peaks toward a deep twist without the support of the arms. I did this last week. It was freaking amazing. Like you create the twist with your body and then you let go of your arms. So your core has to be able to support you and twist you. And rather than using the support of your arms, and you're just doing it like that. And then if we're like wringing out this old shit that we have space for, what doesn't serve us, we can clean it out and let it go. And that works for other niyamas that we'll talk about too. But sometimes with Aparigraha, if we let go of our arms being able to give us that support, we see where we currently are at and learn to be okay with that. I don't know. Do you like any of those, Farin?
I love that. I love all of those. And I can't think of any more in the moment. But I also love that you just cursed and you let go of the Heidi that doesn't curse, because I'm the one that says bad words on the podcast, Heidi, not you.
God, I can't believe I gave a swear on the podcast.
I love it.
Okay, well, let that go.
See, let go of that perfection. Cool. So as we conclude our practice, we can carry the essence of Aparigraha with us. Remember that true presence and happiness lies not in what you possess, like your iPhone, but in your ability to let go and to find contentment within instead of without. Observe where attachments hold you back and practice letting go, whether it's decluttering your space and getting rid of excess, releasing expectations, or detaching from desires. Together, we can continue to practice Aparigraha as we roll up our mats and to help release suffering and find inner abundance and genuine fulfillment. You can go to our website, themeweaversyoga.com/episode 12. The link is also found in the show notes, and request our inspo sheet for Aparigraha to help you bring this theme alive in your own voice, in your own practice and teaching. Then reach out to us on social media or email and let us know how it lands. We're here to support you, our fellow yoga teacher, in your class preparation and delivery. So let us know how we can be the most supportive.
Tune in next week for another episode of Theme Weavers, where we will help you feel prepared to go on and inspire your students in your next class. And remember, if you're unsure on the structure of how to weave your theme throughout the class, please feel free to go back and listen to episode 2. We'll see you next time, and we weave you in peace.